baby, we have some things to talk about. And that is, well, we just finished our Remembrance Day week. Remembrance Day was on Monday, and so much has transpired. We obviously came in on a special episode on this past Sunday to talk about what happened here in Nova Scotia with the school asking veterans not to wear their uniforms to the Remembrance Day ceremony. So we covered that, and that was interesting. And then that was just like the little issues compared to everything else that has been transpiring since Monday here in this country. I think this Remembrance Day is one to go down in the history books, one to remember, where there is so much chaos going on. And I think this Remembrance Day really highlighted and showed how much chaos and how much discord is happening within this country. But at this point, you've probably heard this story because we posted it on our TikTok already. You've posted it on our socials, and you've probably, if you're on X or any realm of social media, you've seen this story floating around. But Ontario school played a Palestinian protest song in Arabic at its Remembrance Day ceremony in Ontario, in Ottawa in particular. Rightfully so, the internet lost its mind. People were not happy. People were less than enthused over this. And it's because, well, why are we not fired about this? What's the issue? Well, there's some on the left that would love to oversimplify the issue and say, well, it's just because y'all are racist and you don't have tolerance for the other side. And you're bigoted. On top of that, oh, by the way, are you white too? And a man? That's the other issue. You just can't see anyone else's perspectives. You have no empathy, man. You're terrible. That's kind of what the argument is on the left for people who like to see things black and white, like to see oversimplify arguments and not look into the nuances of the issues. Well, what's actually transpired here? Well, we obviously had the October 6th incident that happened with Hamas, attacked Israel and murdered a bunch and raped a bunch of innocent people, innocent civilians. And many of those people who are still held hostage by Hamas. And since then, all we have seen on the streets of Canada and the US is constant Palestinian protests that in some cases have erupted into violence. And people who are hiding their faces with the kiffahs, and people who have been tormenting Jewish communities, showing up at synagogues, yelling at them, causing harm. And so that's what's been in the media. That's what people have seen on social over the past year. Throughout that past year, and then obviously over the past 4 years, and we've been seeing it for a plethora of time under this Trudeau leadership, has been the erasure and erosion of what we've known to be normal, of what we've known to hold dear. Things like, let's get to real basics, shall we? How about Hockey Night in Canada with Don Cherry, Rob McLean? You know, good things all come to an end at some point. We all knew Don Cherry was getting old. He's going to die at some point. We knew Hockey Night in Canada the way we knew it was going to come to an end. But the way it ended was not how we thought it would end. No, the way it ended was Don Cherry challenging Canadians and those who are newcomers to Canada to understand the significance of what a poppy means, of what Flanders Fields means to Canadians, what it means and how important it is to understand and honor the veterans who have gone before us to be able to maintain the way of life that we currently have. And that man stood up on national airwaves and said those things and didn't even say anything real direct. He just said, people who come here and enjoy what we enjoy should have some respect for the poppy. So please wear a poppy, is all he said. But at that time, that was deemed as racist and problematic, and they forced him off the airwaves. And that is a situation that rings true for so many people when they see what has transpired here. Obviously, we have here in Nova Scotia with the veterans who were told not to wear their uniforms, which then was quickly reversed. We then, as well as, too, we have this scenario where now we have a Palestinian protest song in Arabic being played at our Remembrance Day ceremony, a place where we're supposed to recognize Canada, not another country. There's other times for those things. This time is for Canada and the people who have fought for this country and the rights of this country. It's not a time for anything else. You can argue that a different day. This is time for Canada. And think about our veterans. And with the issues surrounding Palestine and Israel, it's probably a good time to kind of stay away from things that are problematic, things that are inflammatory at this current time in our culture. And let's focus on the people that have put their lives on the line so we can have what we have today. But the principal of the school said that, I thought it made sense to do this because all that Remembrance Day has been is just a bunch of white people going to fight in the military. It's not a verbatim quote, but that's pretty close to what he said. That, my friend, is heartbreaking. That, my friend, shows that our education system has failed in this scenario. Not understanding what Remembrance Day is really all about. A bunch of white guys going to go fight in the military. How about let's take the skin color out, because I know you love race and you love dividing people along racial lines. And how about we do this? People just went to go fight evil in another part of the world to preserve our freedoms. Yes, I'm talking about World War II. You know, like the big bad Hitler that we love to bring it up and to equate to other political leaders that we dislike. Yeah, that real evil that happened. Our veterans went over as young men and women to go fight that real evil and put an end to it so we could enjoy our freedoms today. So yes, Remembrance Day is for them and also for those who are serving, and to remember and thank them for what they do. Not oversimplifying it for people. Oh, it's just a bunch of white people that went in the military. Give me a break. No, it's not time for that. When people see this is what is leading currently, this type of crap is what is leading to people feeling like they're being erased. What they hold dear is not being held dear anymore. And there's people on the left that will say, well, they don't like that culture's changing because they're not the center of the world anymore. I can see that as an argument in other cases. But when we as a nation don't really have much of a national identity in the first place, the small things that we do hold dear, we should try to preserve them. And in a world where there's so much divisiveness and there's so much hate that's been brought to our country, as we saw in Brampton a couple weeks ago with the attack on the Hindu temple. We've seen Palestinians attack Jews in Toronto and so many other cultural fights that are happening across our country. Yeah, we kind of want to stand up for what Canadian values are. And what are Canadian values? Peace, love, tolerance. This third one's been our problem, tolerance. We as Canadians are very tolerant, and I think that is a very positive attribute. But the problem is that can be very easily abused, and that's what's currently happening. We watch what Palestinians are doing in the name of their cause to Jewish Canadians, violence in the streets. We're told not to call it out. We have to be tolerant. We see what happened with the Calistanis, did at the Hindu temple in Brampton. Hands off. Be tolerant. We see China putting Chinese police stations in our cities to intimidate Chinese Canadians. Be tolerant. Don't say anything. And now you come to our Remembrance Day ceremonies and change what we hold dear. Hands off. Be tolerant. Don't say anything. Tolerance has been a great strength of our country for a long time, but now it's being abused. And luckily for some, the idea of using the term racism or bigotry is no longer a viable weapon to be used by the left. We kind of just laugh that off now. Normal people, normal moderates. No, our concerns are valid, and we need to bring this up. People attacking people in the name of their religion, people attacking people in the name of their country, on our soil, here in Canada, where we value peace, right? We value peace, and we're just allowing it to happen in the name of that third thing, tolerance. There comes a point where tolerance is not the response, but rigid conviction needs to come forward, and this is where it needs to happen. And many on the left, this was okay. It was a song of peace. Song about peace, song about war. I do not care. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate where you're coming from. But right now, the country you're looking to represent at this Remembrance Day ceremony, A, is not Canada, but B, it's Palestine. It's a country that we've only seen taking to our streets here in Canada and protesting and hurting people in the name of this country. You can talk about what's happening on the other side of the world. We're talking as Canadians what we're seeing on our soil right now. And so yes, we will equate that flag with violence. Hate to say it, but it's the reality. So when we value peace, we value love and tolerance, we want to take our time to remember our veterans and what they've done for our country. Simple as that. People love to take the argument, oh, it's a song of peace. We can talk about whatever the contents of the song is. It doesn't really matter. The focus really needs to be about Canada and what has been done in the past so we can have these freedoms today. To even be able to have these arguments over these things. Next thing, a professor. I'm kind of ignoring right now the tweet. I don't really care for much what it says. I'm going to focus on what the content is, what they posted is. A professor, a lecturer at York University, and also works at UTM, University of Toronto, Mississauga, on Remembrance Day, shouting these profanities.
Fuck you! Oh. This is November 11th. I know, fuck that.
F the Canadian military, she says. F you during a Remembrance Day parade. F you. Just such a lack of respect. And it's exactly what she said. If Feels like a giant F you. And as Canadians, we're expected to just be tolerant. Don't say anything. Be quiet. But as I said, things like this cannot be tolerated. They must be met with unwavering conviction that this is wrong and will not be tolerated. This stuff hurts. This stuff is painful to watch and painful to see. We see things that she's posted on her social media. She loves Hamas. From the river to the sea, she constantly posts about. And we know that that's a euphemism for eliminating and exterminating Jewish people. And that was what we talked about. When these protests started, how did they start? Oh, they're just chanting for Palestine, that's all. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be set free. It's just a nice little rhyme until you found out what it actually meant. Oh, we only support Palestine. We don't support Hamas. They're just they're a terrorist organization. Us Palestinians, we don't even recognize Hamas. But here you are, someone who's a professor at York University, also does work at UTM, saying that she loves Hamas and saying F you to the Canadian military on Remembrance Day. Must be nice to live in a country where you can do that. Next. More violent rhetoric that erupted. Take a listen.
Down with occupation.
Down with colonization.
Down with occupation.
Down with colonization.
There is only one solution.
There is only one solution.
Intifada revolution.
Intifada revolution.
There is only one solution.
There is only one solution.
Intifada revolution.
Intifada revolution.
Intifada.
Sorry, there is one thing. I mean, I hate what they're saying. It really makes my skin curl. But can we talk about just the random woman walking with a cane with the Israeli flag on her shoulder? Oh my gosh. It's kind of comedy, I'm not going to lie. At least that kept me a little lighthearted watching this clip. But no, for real though, Intifada revolution. More violent rhetoric. Be tolerant. Don't say anything. Next, Regina, first Canadian city to host a Palestine flag raising ceremony. Organizers of the event, and again, this is an event organized by people living within Regina. They said that they've encouraged residents to join them in what they described as an opportunity to stand together in solidarity with Palestine. Regina's Palestinian community and supporters hope the ceremony will bring attention to the desire for peace and understanding amid ongoing Middle Eastern conflicts. They said on their post here, it says, please note that the time for the Palestinian flag raising ceremony has been updated. The event will now take place, yada, yada, yada. We encourage everyone to join us for the first ever Palestinian flag raising ceremony in Regina, Saskatchewan, and to stand together in this moment of unity and support. As I said at the start, these are nice ideas. But as we just saw with this clip before, and many of those videos that you could string together for at least an hour of violent rhetoric in the name of Palestine on our soil, this doesn't feel like cultural enrichment. You can call me racist, you can call me bigoted, small-minded, but this is how regular people are feeling. This is how regular people are concerned about this. Not because they're, we're scared of all the brown people. No. They've just seen violence bestowed on our streets here in Canada for the past year in the name of this country. And we start seeing their flag being raised, other flags get raised in our minds that are of the color red. You can dismiss us, dismiss how we're feeling, but this is where our heads go. This is a legitimate concern. So either we can talk about it or you can stamp us out and try to ignore us. Because if you do the latter, well, we know that you're doing everything in bad faith anyways. And we know there's a lot of those people out there. Next, this took the cake, I'll be honest. Remembrance Day. This woman says, you've stolen our national flower. The poppy, which we Palestinians call Hanun, compassionate, or Shakik, brother, to symbolize and fuel war. Well, we didn't steal jack. I could be wrong, but the story I was told in school was the blood of Canadians who died in Flanders fields up from the soil grew poppies. And that's why we wear them on Remembrance Day. No chance did we look at Palestine and say, that's a good symbol. We're going to steal it. We didn't steal jack. Our young men and women went overseas to go fight real evil and died in the process. And may they rest in peace in Flanders fields. Next, in Kingston, Palestinian protesters, luckily they weren't disruptive. They just appeared with their signs, wanting Palestine to be set free. This one I can't really say is, it's not disruptive. They weren't yelling obscenities. However, again, the show about a Kingston Remembrance Day ceremony does feel disrespectful. But I'll let the veterans, I'll let those who have gone before, who have been in the process, I'll let them answer to that. But I know I saw that and I said, there are other times to do your protests. This is not the place to do it. That is the show. That is what happened this past week. And I'm sure there was many other things that happened that didn't touch on, didn't share about, but are of equal concern to what is currently happening here. People who are feeling a certain way or feeling left behind or dismissed or invalidated, I urge you to not lose your cool. I urge you to not lose your anger or frustration, because the minute you do that, you lose the plot and you lose the narrative and you lose the possibility of winning people over to your side. Look at this, feel the emotion, but look to articulate how you're feeling and help you realize why this is frustrating to you, why you feel this is disrespectful, why this is uncomfortable. And when the time comes that we have an election, we can kick this party out who's currently in power, allowing this all to happen, and we can get somebody in charge who will try to get this all under control. Have a good one. I'm out.